Hello everybody, and hi. My name is Kieran, and welcome to what is quite possibly my favorite indie game of all time. This is the Yawhg. This is the game with the greatest... Oh, she does sing in the intro, okay. This is the game that has, in my opinion, the greatest soundtrack of any indie game I've ever heard, the greatest art style of any game I've ever heard, the greatest ambience, the greatest storytelling. It is, in many ways, one of the most beautiful games I have ever played in my life, and I'm eager to share it with you. Also, fun fact, this was supposed to be the game that I started my YouTube channel with. This was gonna be the first video I ever recorded on YouTube, but I couldn't because for some reason on my laptop, the only way to exit this game was to restart my whole laptop completely, which of course meant I lost the footage. But I am really pleased and really excited that I get to share this with you today. Such an amazing soundtrack. So without further ado, I suppose, let's play the Yawhg. Any direction on the controller keyboard, select character. I'm going to play all of the characters because I love them all equally. Boom. These are my babies. Here we go. Into the Yawhg. The Yawhg will be here in 6 weeks, and no one expects it. Not a one of us. We just keep on living our lives week by week, unaware. And some of the greatest poetry as well. It's just, look at this! Is this not just the most beautiful little thing you've ever seen? Goodness. You can download the soundtrack off of iTunes and probably on Spotify or wherever else. It's the first soundtrack I ever immediately sought out to buy. This stuff is on it. Every song that you're hearing in here is on it, and it's such an amazing soundtrack. Gosh, I could honestly gush about this game for hours. It's just so amazing. So who are we going first? Oh, this little blue shotty. All right, so we have stats in the corner. So every character you'll see has stats with them. You'll understand what that's for later, but basically you just want to have each person get as high in some form of stat as you possibly can. So this little lady, I kind of envision her as a bit of a hippie type. So I'm gonna send her to the gardens first. And sending people to any of these locations, you can choose to do one of two things. So I think for this little lady, I'm going to, let's landscape actually. Let's go for that. She's making a giraffe for a dinosaur. You spend the week maintaining the plants in the royal garden. You gain 1 finesse, 1 physique, and earn yourself 1 wealth. One day, you come across an elderly man snoozing on the grass. You there, young person. He waves you over. I'm having an awful time trying to nap in the bright sun. Do you mind giving me some shade? Block the sun for the old man. And so here we can make decisions like this. And these can affect the story very dramatically later on. And sometimes doing what seems like the right thing, like the morally righteous thing, is what gets you into trouble. Sometimes doing the right thing gives you the wrong results. But for this old geezer, I will block the sun from him. Ages seem to pass as you stand in the hot sun, the wizened old man sleeping peacefully in your shadow. The sun is sweltering, and after some hours you begin to feel faint. Gradually, everything grows dark. When you awaken, it is evening in the garden, and an ancient, gnarled tree stands where the old man was sleeping. For witnessing this miraculous event, you gain 1 magic. And there we go, I gained a magic. And if I had declined it, I might have gained something different, completely. Maybe I would have found money or something, or I would have died. Who knows? This is what the game is you choose how everyone is going to spend their weeks coming up to the Yawhg, which is something that you'll see soon enough. So next we have this old ginger beast of a man. So because that girl's already in the gardens, we can't go there. You know, we can't be too close to each other now. We need our personal space, my personal bubble. This guy's got a big old jovial bartender feel to him, I think. So let's bartend. I could get schwiggity and schwasted, but not my style tonight. So far, at least. You spend the week serving drinks at the tavern. You earn 1 wealth in tips and gain 2 charm. Look at that man. You tell me you ain't charmed off your feet by that man. One day, a bard pulls out his lute in the bar and starts playing a tune. Unfortunately, his singing is horrible and is ruining the tavern's atmosphere. You decided to do something about it. Convince him to leave or challenge him to a lute duel. So I have no finesse. I believe this would use finesse, but I do have some charm. So maybe I could convince him to leave. I could potentially, I think, be able to beat him in a lute duel, but I could also embarrass myself. Let me try to convince him to leave, because I think I'll be better at that. You approach the bard and let him know that the tavern down the road is well known for its big tippers.
Bars off!
The bard yells drunkenly. You walk away, giving a, well, I tried sort of look to the other patrons. What a blow to your confidence. You lose one charm. My poor big baby. My poor mustachioed boy. My sweet baby boy. And now, yes, we got this gal. And to me, this lady seems like she's a smart kind of person, so let's put her into the alchemy lab, and she's not gonna clean nothing, she brewing today. You spend the week experimenting with different potion brews. You gain 2 magic and 1 mind. One day, all the alchemists decide to take a break from work, and instead throw a cantrip party. One alchemist waves his hand and produces confetti in front of him. Another spawns a seemingly endless number of doves from his sleeve. Then all the alchemists turn to you to see what you can come up with. I've got some magic, but I don't know if I have enough to do a complex trick. So for now, let's just do a simple trick. By snapping your fingers, you change your eyebrow color. Not bad, one of the alchemists says. You gain 1 magic. And now I'm even more magical. Whereas if I had gone for the big thing and not made it, maybe I would have been worse off. But maybe I would have learned something too. This game makes you think. I know I'm gushing maybe too much about this game for everything that it is, but I just love it. Genuinely, I cannot stress enough how much I love this game. It just makes me feel so good, you know? It just makes me happy. So this feller, he seems like a bit of a Casanova type, so he's gonna go to the ballroom, pick up some chicks. You spend the week attending fancy gatherings, partying hard. You gain 2 charm and 1 finesse. One day you decide to lean up against a wall just to take a break. It rotates as you apply pressure, and you stumble down a set of stairs. You enter a large, dusty room filled with barrels. You found the king's famous wine cellar. Host a secret party, or keep quiet about what you saw. You know, I feel like this guy's the type to throw a secret party. That's just me, but that's what I'm feeling. All your friends show up, and the drinking begins. When you come to, you find yourself in a home you don't recognize in only your underwear. Your clothes are nowhere to be found, and you seem to be the only one home. What happened? And I gained nothing from that. They say the last time it came, the Yawhg devoured houses whole, stole lives, tore families and family members apart. But that was so very long ago. And that's the other thing that I love about it, is that you're having these people going about their daily lives, not realizing that there's some sort of serious catastrophe coming their way. Throughout the game, you're kind of led to believe that this is like some sort of apocalyptic end time situation, or at least like it's something super, super serious and dangerous. But in the meantime, everybody's just having predominantly wholesome experiences and just kind of trying their best to live their lives and be happy. And I just think that that's so fascinating to me. I just think that juxtaposition is just amazing, honestly. So now we got this little shotty, and she could go back to the gardens. If you wanted to play the game strategically, you could have everybody do the same things and maximize one area, which you'd see why that's important later. But I want to show you guys some cool stuff, and I think it's better for the story to have them spreading around and going around a bunch of different places. So, let's go to the forest, Twitchy. She gonna chop wood or she gonna hunt? She's pretty in tune with nature. I think she can hunt. She knows how the animals think. You spend the week hunting defenseless critters. You gain 2 finesse and sell the pelts for 1 wealth. Oh my gosh, I forgot that that's a horrifying image. One day you hear a howl nearby, followed by the rustling of leaves. Run for it or stand and fight. Girl, you run! You drop what you're doing and run for your life. You hear heavy footsteps running behind you, but they don't seem to be able to keep up. You get away safely. You gain 1 physique. I forget, that happens sometimes, but that wolf is freaky to me. Now this guy here, you know, he's a gentle giant. You know, he doesn't have the most confidence in his day-to-day life, but what you don't know is that by night, he's a crime-fighting superhero. You spend the week outsmarting and beating up criminals. You gain 1 mind, 1 physique, and 1 finesse. One night, a small child approaches you with his hands cupped and outstretched towards you. He doesn't say anything, but just looks up at you with his eyes wide, waiting expectantly. Give him a coin or ignore him. Man, you know you gotta give that child a coin. It's my only wealth, and I'm gonna give it to him. You toss him a sack of coins. You lose 1 wealth. He thanks you and walks away. The next night, you recognize him on the street. You spot him eating what looks like a fresh loaf of bread. He sees you and smiles. You feel good about yourself. You gain 1 physique. You gain 1 finesse. You gain 1 mind. You gain 1 charm. You gain 1 magic. I love it. Because I could have ignored the kid and it would have maybe done something worse, or maybe I would have gotten, maybe I just would have gotten more money somehow. I don't know. And that's such a cool thing. Because it's just like life, you know? It's a series of decisions that you make over time, never really knowing what the outcome would have been otherwise. But you just kind of got to learn to live with and be okay with the decisions you make. Because you can't go back. You just got to live your life day to day. And that's okay. What is on my screen? Sorry about that. That was something else unrelated. Don't you worry. Now this lady, in keeping with her intellectual capabilities, I'm gonna send her to do some administrative work at the castle. You spend the week doing paperwork for the palace. You're paid 2 wealth and gain 1 mind. One day the king approaches you. "Excuse me, but you look like someone who I can confide in," he says. "I really want a prince to take over the throne, but the queen and I aren't exactly active in the bedroom." He blushes a little. "Do you have any advice on how I could romance the queen, so to speak?" You're coming to the right boy, my man. What would that entail? I could give him my intellectual assessment. Teach the king your ways. I just read that. You know, let's do the best I can. Let's teach him something. You spend hours drawing a bunch of diagrams and going through scenarios with the king. By the end of it, he's just as charming as you are. Ooh, that's not good. He thanks you and hands you a large sack of coins as a reward. You gain 3 wealth. Later that night, you get the sinking feeling that you may have actually made things worse. Dang. I just ruined the king's humpy dump. But such is life, you see. Such is the way of the world. Let's bring this guy over. He goes from the fancy parties to the non-fancy parties with his bros. You spend the entire week getting wasted. You gain 2 charm and 1 physique. Their very first day of the week, when you walked through the tavern doors, everyone cheered. Apparently during your last drunken outing, you were a party animal while you were blacked out. Legend spreads of your party hard spirit. You gain 2 charm. And he's just the most charming dude. I can't get over it. He was on us in a heartbeat. Or so the stories go. The earth shook. The air went still. What? This little old lady here. Where can I send you today? I think you're a charitable spirit. You know why she was hunting yesterday? To bring food to the sick orphans and the sick people of the hospital. She's gonna go over and tend to some patients. Actually, can you tend? You got some finesse. That's all this surgery is, right? Tend to some patients. You spend the week diagnosing and tending to the sick. You gain 2 mind and earn 1 wealth. Ooh, I'm mindful. One day, the bloodletting leeches somehow escape from their containers. Leeches start flooding into the hallway. There are people screaming everywhere as leeches slither towards them. "Somebody do something!" yells one of the doctors. "Zap the leeches with magic! Use yourself as bait." I don't have a lot of magic, so let's get self-sacrificial. You start taunting the leeches to lead them back to their containers. With great skill, you manage to avoid the leeches' fangs. You then lure them all back into their containers. Quick thinking. You gain 1 mind. I succeeded. Yay. And if you bring, I believe, if you bring different characters into different areas on different days, you'll get totally different events. It's very much randomized in that way. So even if I brought all the same people to the same places, but just at different weeks, at different turns, they would have totally different situations to try and overcome. And even the same situations in different orders, which I think is neat. All right, this big boy, you know, what do you got? What do you got going for you? You're pretty evenly distributed, feller. Let's put you, you know, you're a beefy boy. Let's get you in the arena. Or are you too gentle of a giant for that? See, this is the conundrum of gaming with characters that you define for yourself is, I want to play the game fully, but I also don't want to go out of the character's parameters that I've assigned them. Oh, let's go to the woods and chop wood. Just to show you different things that can happen. You spend the week cutting down trees for the village. You gain 2 physique and earn yourself 1 wealth. One day, you stumble upon a tall, nicely trimmed hedge in the middle of the woods. You sit and eat your lunch in front of the hedge, wondering what exactly it's doing out in the woods. Suddenly, an enormous hand erupts from the foliage. Dodge it or punch it. Punching it's probably more likely to go well. You manage to punch the hand so hard that you appear to have shattered one of its fingers. The hand recoils back through the hedge. You then run away faster than you ever have in your life. You gain 2 physique. Okay, I like that. He's my strong boy. He's my big, burly man thing. He's the strong boy. This is the smart lady. I'm trying... Well, actually, I think the blue gal's getting smarter. I think this lady actually might be more the magic type. So I'm going to send her back in here. Let's brew another potion. Same character, same activity at a different time. You spend the week experimenting with different potion brews. You gain 2 magic and 1 mind. See, now she's actually real magical. One day you hear cries for help coming from the next room. Running over to investigate, you see that the alchemists there have accidentally created an ooze monster. How do you dispatch the ooze? I could punch the ooze into submission or blast it with magic. I'm a little weak, not gonna lie. These biceps, massive shoulders, but these biceps, they aren't really the punching type, but they are the blasting type. You pulverize the ooze into a puddle with an array of magical spells. The alchemists all cheer. You gain 1 charm. And now she's liked a little bit. People are like, ooh, that girl's not too bad. That girl's all right there. I tell you, that girl's pretty good. And then this old charmer. No, where should you... You know what? Actually, I think he would be the one to compete in a fight. Just for the ego. You spend the week fighting brutes in the arena. With only a dagger, my man. You gain 2 physique and 1 finesse. One night, on your way home, you spot a rusty dagger on the ground. Pick it up or You thought perfectly good running, then you gonna leave it on the ground. Pick that up, boy. As you pick it up, you hear a voice from behind you whisper, "You're not worthy." The dagger begins to dissolve into a black smoke. Within seconds, the blade is gone. If I had different stats, that probably wouldn't have happened. I would have been worthy. But I didn't have those stats, so I'm not worthy. That's just life! And then the world was a howling fury. Chaos screaming. The sound of all we knew being pulled in half. And here you can see in the bottom right corner there's some coming up, isn't there? Because after each week, it starts progressively getting worse. It's moving more towards the Yawhg. Whatever it is. Who knows? Bring this gal back into the gardens. Do some meditation. Just chill out, my dude. You've been working hard. Now it's time to be hardly working. You spend the week in deep meditation. You gain 1 magic and 2 mind. She's probably my most mindful then, isn't she? One day, a beggar comes up to you asking for any spare change. Give him some? Sure, I got money to spare. You toss him a sack of coins. You lose 1 wealth. He thanks you and walks away. The next night, you recognize him on a bench. You spot him eating what looks like a fresh roasted chicken. He sees you and smiles a toothless grin. As he gums the chicken. You feel good about yourself. You gain 1 physique. You gain 1 finesse. You gain 1 mind. You gain 1 charm. You gain 1 magic. Give to the poor, folks. It'll do you some good, too. It's time for the superhero to return to the slums of the city. Get out there and fight crime. You spend the week outsmarting and beating up criminals. You gain 1 mind, 1 physique, and 1 finesse. One day, a man walks up to you. Excuse me, sir. Feeling a little lonely tonight? He asks, "For only a small amount of coin, I can make you feel good all night." On the job there, sir. Your loss. I wonder what would happen if I did that. I wonder if that was like deceptive, like he actually just means to play Uno all night. But I can't be distracted either way, you know? These crimes, they aren't gonna fight themselves. And my magic gal, you know, it's week 4 of 6. What am I gonna do? But yeah, let's put you in the hospital. Let's put you in the hospital to tend to patients. You're too smart for the cleanup. Not that janitors aren't smart. Just underqualified. You spend the week diagnosing and tending to the sick. You gain 2 mind and earn 1 wealth. One day, you hear spooky sounds echoing through the hospital. Soon afterwards, a glowing blue ghost floats down from the ceiling. She seems to be wandering the halls aimlessly, howling out horrible noises. She doesn't appear to realize that she's freaking everyone out. You decide to do something about it. Talk calmly to the ghost or vaporize the ghost with magic. I would probably need to be a lot more charming to talk the ghost down, so let's just lay that spirit to rest. Little rude, but you gotta do what you gotta do. With a wave of your hand, you fire off a magic bolt. The ghost lets out a wail as the bolt pierces her heart. She slowly fizzles out of existence. Target practice! You gain 1 magic! She's already dead, so what does it really matter? Uh-oh, it's the Bossa Nova out again. What's he gonna do? Who knows? It's his turn to do some bartending. It's his shift this week, so, you know, he's a team player like that. You spend the week serving drinks at the tavern. You earn 1 wealth in tips and gain 2 charm. Of course he does. One day, an impromptu drinking contest is held. Enter or spectate. Your boy going for that clout. Enter. You down pint after pint, drinking as if your life depended on it. You end up blacking out. When you come to, you find yourself in a home you don't recognize and only your underwear. Your clothes are nowhere to be found and you seem the only one home. What happened? That's twice in a month, dude. Calm down. I've never seen that happen in the game before. I've never seen the same outcome come from 2 different events. When it arrives this time, how will we fare? Will we rebuild once more? Move on? Be strong? Or have we forgotten? It's getting dire now. See, fog's rolling in. Yawgh's coming in close. It's week 5. We have this week and next week before the Yawhg hits us. And it's all over, folks. This is my mindful lady here, so let's have her go over here. You know what, ma'am? You've been working hard on a lot of things. Go to the ball, have a good time. Drink a margarita of pickles, why not? You spend the week at attending fancy gatherings. You gain 2 charm and 1 finesse. One day the court jester approaches you. "Would you like to learn to juggle?" he asks excitedly. "I'll teach you everything I know for a small sum." Why not? The world's ending in 2 weeks, so who cares? You spend the day with the jester, practicing your juggling technique. You improve dramatically. You gain 2 finesse. You gain another 2 finesse. Holy crap, she's the finesser. You happily pay the jester for his services. You lose 1 wealth. And a lot of blood by the sound of it. Wow, she's probably my most finessed out person now. That was a cheat code to that. All right, it's time for my boy to go out and hunt. My man's hunting for dinner. You spend the week hunting defenseless critters. I like that they add defenses. You gain 2 finesse and sell the pelts for 1 wealth. Sell the pelts for 1 wealth, won't you? One day, you hear hundreds of footsteps rumbling through the forest in your direction. It's an orc raiding party. What do you do? Hide or charm them into not killing you. I got some big shoulders, but I'm not really the charming type, so let's see if I can squeeze myself in somewhere. You jump into a nearby ditch. The orcs all ride past you. Nice hiding. You gain 1 finesse. Okay, now he's getting a little up there in the finesse too. He better finesse these foes, you know what I'm saying? Me mindful lady, well, me magic lady, she's gonna go back here. It's her time to do the cleaning. It's the cleaning shift. We all gotta do it, you know? You spend the week cleaning up noxious chemicals. You're paid 1 wealth for your labor and gain 1 physique and 1 magic. One day you hear one of the alchemists shout, "Eureka!" When you look over, you see what he's done. you spot a small, previously dead ferret come to life. "I've figured out the antidote to death!" the alchemist exclaims. The undead ferret lets out a horrible, horrific noise and lumbers about slowly. "Destroy that abomination!" Praise the alchemist's accomplishment. Well. You're playing God there, Doc. That doesn't tend to go well for people. And I feel like you're gonna get a little excited and maybe rush the animal trials, so let's put that thing out of its misery. You smack the ferret off the counter and stomp on it until it stops twitching. I thought you were just gonna zap it. Wow. The alchemist is horrified. Yeah. You gain 1 physique. My ferret. Oh, that would be messy. This is my charming boy, and what's he gonna do to get more charming than he already once were? He's gonna go over here. He's gonna bet on a fight. He ain't a rich man, but what he does he likes to get rid of very quickly. You spend the week placing bets on your favorite fighters. You gain 1 wealth. See? While wandering around the halls between matches, you spot your former lover, Kelly. An awkward exchange happens, in which you want to know how they're doing without seeming to care too much. After a few minutes, Jean, one of the most popular fighters in the arena, butts into the conversation.
Hey, Kelly, sorry to interrupt, but we gotta leave right away if we want to make it to your mother's in time.
You say an awkward goodbye as they walk off holding hands. How do you feel? You know, at the end of the day, you just gotta want what's best for him. I feel like this guy, on the deep insides of him, he's a softie. He's happy for Kelly. You feel it's good that both of you have moved on. This encounter, despite its awkwardness, was refreshing. You gain 1 charm. The Yawhg. It's almost here. Almost. The fog's everywhere. The Yawhg is almost upon us. This is my last week. This is my last chance to do whatever I need to do. These guys don't know it, but the Yawhg's about to hit. This is gonna be probably the last week of their lives as they know it. So, being that I understand that and they have no idea, how shall we spend their last weeks? I think this gal, she's gonna go back to the gardens, where she's always liked to be, and she's just gonna chill out and meditate. You spend a week in deep meditation. You gain 1 magic and 2 mind. Walking past a pond one day, you see a fat little frog sitting on a lily pad.
Please, miss,
the frog begs.
I am not a frog at all, but an enchanted prince. If you could see your way to kissing me, it would break the curse and return me to normal.
Kiss the frog, catch the frog. 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 Let's give him a peck. You bend down and kiss the frog. Suddenly, the frog is enveloped by a cloud of shimmering fog. When the fog clears, the frog is gone and a tall, regal man is standing in the pond instead. He thanks you for helping him and gives you a handsome reward. You gain 2 wealth. As word spreads of your deed, your reputation improves. You gain 1 charm. Aw. Remember when all these folks were like, they had 5s and everything? That's how she spends her last week, is kissing a frog and helping a man change his life. I mean, this guy, he's got to go back and fight crime. You spend the week outsmarting and beating up criminals. You gain 1 mind, 1 physique, and 1 finesse. One day, while wandering the slums, you notice that the stones used to line the road seem to have a certain pattern to them. You notice that the stones used to line the road seem to have a certain pattern to them. With a piece of paper and pencil, you manage to work out that each type of symbol corresponds to a letter of the alphabet. Deciphering the code points you to a small trap door hidden in a back alley. You descend into it to find a dimly lit room with 2 cubes hovering off the ground, text scribbled across them. The arcane, the gallant. I've actually never had this before. I've played this game many times, but I've never gotten this event before. The arcane would be the magic, and the gallant would be like bravery, maybe physique. I think this guy to me seems more gallant. You touch the cube labeled the gallant. Everything flashes white. You wake up at home feeling a little odd. You gain 3 charm. And see, the thing is if I did the game differently, and if I could get that event earlier in the story, there might be more to that. There might be something more that comes of it, because that can happen. It's like, there's one where you can get bit by a vampire, and then if that happens early enough on in your weeks, then throughout the weeks you start noticing more and more examples of like you waking up covered in blood in places, and you start to realize that your skin is paler over time, and you're just becoming a vampire. And that just becomes part of the story because of the choices you made that leads you to that. It's just so awesome, I think. She seems like a workaholic, and she's our magic lady, so we gotta get her magicked up, you know? I think this is where she would be. Spend the week experimenting with different potions, brews, stuff. You get the gist. You gain 2 magic and 1 mind. One day, an artificer stops by for a visit. She's adorned with magical gadgets and gizmos, and is followed everywhere by her clockwork spider. The alchemists of the tower all go out of their way to impress the artificer, offering her an array of potions and elixirs. As she's leaving, she adorns the most charming of the alchemists with a special trinket. The fact she didn't choose you was a very humbling experience. You gain 1 charm. So if the yellow guy was there for that, in that event, he would have definitely gotten that. This man, he's gonna end his weeks as he started them. Absolutely plastered. Get drunk, my boy! You spend the entire week getting wasted. Gain 2 charm, 1 physique. Their very first day of the week, when you walk through the tavern doors, everyone cheered, apparently during... Oh, it's the same one again. I've never gotten doubles ever, but this dude... this dude just keeps racking things up. And he gains more charm. He's almost 20 charm! The storm arrives in the night. By the morning, it still rages. For 3 full days, the tempest puts us through the grinder, drowns us, crushes us, ruins us. But in the end, we see the graveyard our home has become. Our home. Does anything yet live? Is it, are we, past saving? And that's what the Yawhg is. It's an incredibly devastating storm. And here's where our stats come into play. In the ruins of this destroyed city, we can choose how we're going to contribute to rebuilding. How well we are equipped for the jobs that we choose for each character, that determines if we can successfully rebuild the kingdom or not, and the ending to each character's story. So, with that said, this is our blue gal, and I can still see everybody by pressing left on the arrow keys. So let's see. She's got a lot of mind and a lot of finesse, kind of some magic, a good bit of charm, little bit of wealth, and some decent physique. I think she would work best as a doctor for her mind and finesse. That may not be what actually contributes, but that's what I'm going to go with. So she is a doctor. You take it upon yourself to help the sick and injured from the Yawhg. You're able to fix up most of your patients in no time at all. This means there are more people to help with rebuilding the town. This helps the survival effort considerably. And there are different ratings of how much you actually help the survival effort. I think considerably is the highest one, so that was a very good choice on that part. And this guy, super strong dude, pretty charming and got some finesse. But because he's the strongest one out of all of us, I think he would work really good as the builder. You take it upon yourself to help rebuild the town by hand. You rebuild homes at breakneck speed, impressing the rest of the survivors. This helps the rebuilding effort significantly. So yeah, another one, really good. Now our red gal here, she's our magic one. She's got good mind, but magic is the best thing. And I believe that a conjurer is literally conjuring things with magic. So let's have her do that. You take it upon yourself to help conjure up supplies for the town. With your magic, you summon supplies of the highest caliber. With little effort, you're summoning high-quality lumber and food from out of nowhere. This helps the rebuilding effort significantly. Significantly might also be the higher one. They're both good. And this guy is the charmer. Now, in keeping with the story that I had for him, it would make sense that he would be the town drunk, because that's all he did in life before now, and that's all he'll do now. And that would be sort of a tragic ending to his story. of being the most charming guy that everybody likes, but once he was really needed for something serious, he fell away and came undone and fell into his vices. That would be the ending to the story that I would write. However, I'm going to go with the fact that that little glimmer of true, wholesome humanity in him, behind the charm and the cocky in there, was a man who really wanted to do something good. And now he's got his chance. And being so charming as he is, he's going to lead these people to victory. You take it upon yourself to be the leader of the survivors. You're so incredibly charming, everyone readily lets you guide them. You're not the brightest, however, and aren't terribly efficient with organizing everyone. Oh my gosh, his mind is 5. Still, having a charismatic leader helps the rebuild efforts a lot. And a lot, while not as big, is still something. And I think he's doing the best that he can now that he has an occasion to rise up to. And also Kelly and the other dude died in the flood. So, ooh no, he's impressing Kelly and the other dude. The other dude died, he's getting Kelly back. Doink. And now, we get our ending. And so, we set about our tasks, once more living our lives, this time in a way we might never have expected, or even wanted. But in the end, we flourished. Towers once wrecked and ravaged rose towards the sky. Trees again took root, then blossomed. We all blossomed. And though it took a long while, and though it took a lot from us, our future is bright. Should the Yawhg ever return, we will be ready. And that, I think, is the best ending that you can get, by the looks of that picture. Different endings, different levels of success in the rebuilding, you'll get different looking pictures there. And then we get our little wrap up on all the characters individually. The Yawhg changed you forever, probably for the better. With the town rebuilt, you decided to retake your role as a doctor at the hospital. There you make friends with another doctor. The two of you do everything together. You're inseparable. Eventually, you even decide to get an apartment and live with each other. Then your friend gets married and everything changes. Their spouse has to move away to a new town, and your friend follows. You try to keep in touch by mail, but the letters start to come less and less frequently. You try to fraternize with the other doctors. While they're all nice people, nothing can compare. And that's kind of where the game also hits really hard, with, especially with these endings, is that they're all kind of bittersweet. I don't know if any of these endings are actually like overtly positive. There's a caveat to all of them. And it kind of goes along with the idea of the way that life is. Ebbs and flows, highs and lows. How life doesn't end at the happily ever after. Life continues. And your happily ever after at the end of the story is probably going to leave you at one point. Until you come to some grander end towards the end of your life. Anyway, with the old tavern owner dying in the Yawhg, you decide to take on the task. Before long, the tavern's busier than ever, filled with good music, games, and friends. Your tavern's doing so great that every other tavern in the area is closed down. You start a chain of taverns throughout the city to fill the demand. Each new tavern you open makes it more difficult to manage all of them. You begin enacting policies that make it easier for you to keep track of how the taverns are being run. The taverns all start to become bland and uninteresting places to be, but since you have a monopoly, you're still making ridiculous amounts of money. And see, there's that. The taverns aren't as much of a party anymore, but that's just how it is. It sucks, but it's just life. After the town is rebuilt, you start up a magical waste cleanup initiative. When boats accidentally leak toxic potions into the water, your crew arrives to clean off birds, fish, and other animals. You're named Time Magazine's Person of the Year for 6 years in a row, which feels pretty good. Also, all this exposure to magical waste gives you superpowers. Okay, well there's actually a pretty objectively wholesome and happy ending for her. So she's doing great. With the town rebuilt, you decide to celebrate. You organize a huge festival in honor of the bravery that helped save so many lives. The first one is so successful, you decide to make it an annual tradition. Every year, the festival gets bigger and more elaborate, and every year it costs more and more money to put on. You have to start charging admission, and no one's happy about it. The annual festival slowly fades out of relevance, and before long is cancelled completely. You don't really know what to do with your life after all that. So, in summary for everybody, the blue girl, she is now making...
Ryan Rath, Helena Heron, beautiful music.
She's a doctor, she made a best friend, and she lost her best friend to distance. Red girl started a cleanup initiative, changed the world for the better, and has superpowers. The big green guy, the ginger fella, he became a successful business owner, but ended up giving into the greed and held down a monopoly that ultimately had a negative impact on the lively scenes of the town. And the yellow fella, I've immediately forgotten what actually happened to him. I just read his. Right. He started a festival that made everybody really happy. And then when he needed to start charging, people stopped being happy. And what he ended up spending his life building fell away from him. And it was gone. I don't know if I've gotten any of those. Oh, no, I've gotten the tavern one before, but the other three, I don't think I've ever gotten those endings before. So that's actually pretty cool. Wow, this is a long video. Sorry about that, but honestly, it's an amazing game and it deserves to have some time taken to really show appreciation and love for it, because this is truly art. This is art in video games. Some of the finest storytelling, artistic designs, just and that's my favorite indie game for you. I hope you enjoyed it. There is infinite amount of replayability in this game, so hit the link in the description and go grab it for yourself. It's like $10 and it is easily the greatest, easiest, most worthwhile $10 I have ever spent in my life. It might be cheaper now, it might be more expensive, but it might be cheaper. So please go take this game and write your stories. Have it with just 2 people, have it with all 4, have them all go to the woods all the time. You can do whatever you want with it, and you can write your own story with it. And I think that's one of my favorite things is I make these characters. They give me templates and places for them to go and ways to interact with the environment, but at the end of the day, they're my characters. And I determine who they are. And maybe it's just because I'm a writer, but that's so much fun for me personally. I love it. This my favorite indie game. Almost my favorite game of all time, probably, honestly. I absolutely love it. So I hope you do too. And if you don't, that's fine. But if you do, check it out. Have it for yourself. Make a beautifully bittersweet, sad story. That was honestly some of the most happier endings that I've found playing the game. A lot of the times, they're even more bittersweet and sometimes just downright sad. But, such is life. Thank you guys for watching this. I really appreciate it. Spending the time to hear me ramble on about my favorite game. What else can I say except that I love you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.